Well, voting continues at the Nasrec Expo Centre for the ANC Women's League's top leadership. Could they also be looking at increasing their top leadership like the Mother Body and Youth League did? Well, former President Aviwe Mtila is facing off with former League Secretary and Eastern Cape's CCC Tulashe and, of course, Tembeka Mkunu from KwaZulu-Natal. And our senior reporter Aviwe Mtila is monitoring the conference for us at Nasrec, and he joins me now. Thank you, Aviwe, for joining us. I know, if I'm not mistaken, voting has completed and now it's just about counting the votes. And of course, we know that the ANC President Cyril Ramaphosa will be closing today's conference. But what's the latest you can tell us there?
Definitely, Baron, that voting underway here at Nasrec, of course, in that three-way horse race for the presidency of the Women's League. We know that Aviwe Mtila is looking to retain a position as the party president of the ANC Women's League, contested by Sisishe Nokuzola, Gladys Tolashe, former Secretary General of the ANC Women's League, now looking to be at the helm of the Women's League. Also from KwaZulu-Natal, we have Tembeka Mkunu, the wife of Water and Sanitation's Minister, Senzo Mkunu. Just to get insight on what's going to happen now, will they finish on time? We have NEC member Kusela Tiko, just to give us the details. Thank you for joining us at eNCA, Kusela, but maybe do outline how soon can we get the results and know the top 5 positions of the Women's League?
Well, thank you very much, Aviwe, for having us on the show. Now, insofar as the voting process is concerned, we finished very early, in the early hours of this morning. In fact, around 10 o'clock, I think, was when the last province, KwaZulu-Natal, was voting. The Elections Commission has said it'll take them a period of about 3 to 4 hours to calculate those votes, and we're expecting then the announcement, I think, a little bit later this afternoon, let's say around 2 o'clock or so. Once that has been done, we'll then take the nominations for the additional members, and we are seeing the voting for those positions go into very late this evening, perhaps with those results only coming out tomorrow morning. But there's been a lot of work that has happened at conference. As you know, all of the discussion documents have been presented, the financial report, the organizational report, the political report by Mambaleka. So when delegates gather here again, and do understand that some of them have not slept for 2 days, we're expecting that they go through some of those resolutions, adopt the declaration, and wait for the president to close conference.
And policies, will it be discussed today, or can we possibly see a postponement of the conference itself to discuss those policy positions? And maybe what time can we expect the president to wrap up things here?
Well, as far as the resolutions or the policy positions, as you refer to them, as I indicated, the draft resolutions have been prepared. So when we go back to plenary, we're expecting the delegates to deliberate on those matters. The steering committee is still considering some issues, including a possibility of a second leg of conference, which may be hybrid, to tie up any loose ends if they still remain, when this conference has to be wrapped up. And I think the pressure to wrap up is really for delegates to be able to travel back home. The President will be coming this afternoon. Unfortunately, at this point, we cannot give exact time, but the President has confirmed to close conference.
Now, we've been seeing, I'm not sure if it's a new trend, but we've seen, for example, in the mother body of the ANC, an additional top 7 now, and we saw in the Youth League as well, additional members in the top structures. I know we've had 5 positions nominated here, but could we possibly see an addition of maybe a second DSG or any of the likings here?
Well, that particular ship has sailed, because to make a constitutional amendment like that, the constitution of the ANC in particular, and then flowing to the Women's League, requires that a branch or a province must give notice at least 3 months before a national conference. So at this particular conference, there was no motion before conference to amend the constitution. Hence, then the positions of the national officials of the Women's League remain 5 without any additions of either a second DSG or even a national chair.
And the conference itself started off in somewhat of a rocky start, with that fight that we heard of the senior leaders of the Northwest Provincial Task Team actually physically fighting. Has it been resolved on what's going to happen to those 2 members?
That has been very unfortunate. The conference does, though, have a manner in which it deals with disciplinary processes that arise from conference, and I'm sure that those processes at an appropriate time would kick in. As far as the Northwest is concerned, you remember yesterday the credentials were adopted, meaning that all outstanding issues regarding registration, any disputes, appeals, had been resolved for the credentials to be adopted unanimously. So we're confident that, all of the structures that have participated in this conference were credible, they are legible structures of the organization, and I think even just how smoothly the voting has gone has been a demonstration that we've managed to catch up some of the time that was lost, but also to ensure that this conference is as successful as we would have wanted it to be.
All right. Thank you very much, Kusela Tiko. Just giving us the latest in terms of what we can expect here, as we heard that any time from now we'll get the results of the elections and the outcomes of the top 5 leadership, who's going to be at the helm leading the women, not only of the ANC Women's League, but women, of course, politically, given that they're in the governing party that will spearhead some of the needs of the women of South Africa.
Thank you so much, Aviwe, for that update there at the ANC Women's League elective conference at Nasrec. As we know, that it seems like the top 5 will be chosen in the next hour or so. So we will be making that announcement, hopefully very shortly. Kusela Diko also saying that President Cyril Ramaphosa has confirmed that he will be closing the ceremony. We also heard very clearly from Fikile Mbalula, who opened the ceremony, of course, the Secretary General of the ANC, that Ramaphosa will definitely be there in attendance today. Very important conference for the ANC, of course, leading up to 2024 national elections. So it will be interesting to see who is the top leadership here at the ANC Women's League.